Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us at this Your Overseas Home webinar. I hope you can all hear and see me okay. My name is Sebastian Bampton. I'm one of the account managers over here at Your Overseas Home. Today, we're very luckily joined by Alejandro Costa from DS Mortgages. I've had the pleasure of working with Alejandro and the team at DS Mortgages for a number of years now. They've helped countless numbers of clients undertaking similar journeys as yourselves over in Portugal and navigating the mortgage requirements and mortgage process over there. It's great to have you all here with us, whether you are listening live on demand. What we'll do is we'll go through to introducing you, Alejandro. So if you wouldn't mind just giving us a quick introduction to yourself and DS Mortgages, and then we'll move back into the next part of the webinar.
Of course. Thank you, Seb, for having me. Great to be here with you and all of the audience. So I'm the CEO of DSI Mortgage Brokers. We have been doing mortgages for residents and non-residents for the last years. And basically, I have a degree in law. I also own a lawyer's office, but I love mortgages. This is what I also do. So, hi everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome. Hopefully, welcome to Portugal soon. And DSI Mortgage Brokers, in DSI Mortgage Brokers, we search for the best mortgage application there is in the market in many different banks. We do not charge you a fee whatsoever, which is a great deal, I believe. So basically, our main job is to look after your interests.
Brilliant. Thank you, Alejandro. So it's great to have you here with us. I know we've done quite a few of these together over the years. And, as I mentioned, I know you've helped countless numbers of your overseas home clients with their mortgage requirements. So it's great to have you here with us again. For everyone listening in, first and foremost, if you're looking to buy in Portugal, I'm very jealous. But if you're looking to buy in Portugal with a mortgage, you're in the right place. The way that we'll run this webinar is a question answer style session. So at the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you should see a questions tab. You click on that questions tab. You can put in any questions that you have for Alejandro. We'll try and get around to answering as many of those as possible. Please feel free to try it out now. Maybe tell us where in Portugal you're looking to buy and make us all very, very jealous. There also are anonymous questions, so you won't be able to see any other questions from any of the other viewers. Try and test Alejandro. I mean, we get some quite weird and wonderful questions on these webinars, and it's always nice to get new questions that we haven't really been asked before. So please do pop your questions in there. We do have some pre-planned questions, and we have around just under 30 minutes to get through them. So we will get cracking. So Alejandro, I suppose a good place to start would be, first of all, is it feasible for someone that isn't a Portuguese national to obtain a mortgage over in Portugal?
Yes, it is possible. And the conditions are pretty much the same as if it was a resident in Portugal or a Portuguese citizen. Okay. So I don't know if the next question will be, what are the differences? And if you want me to carry on, but I can.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think what we should try and do, I know everyone listening in will have their own unique requirements. We will get around to answering some of their unique questions, depending on their requirements. But to give everyone listening in a general idea about the mortgage process, I think would be very useful. On that note, I suppose, what is the process over in Portugal for applying for a mortgage?
Okay. So it's pretty much like everywhere else. Basically, the lenders need to approve the client's file on solvability and approve the property based on evaluation. Okay. The biggest difference is not on rates whatsoever. It's based on loan to value percentage. Usually, residents and Portuguese people can go up to 90% loan to value, and non-residents can go up to 70%. In some cases, up to 80% loan to value. So the Portuguese central bank's because it's a recommendation. Some lenders, some banks push it to 80%. The loan needs to be repaid until the client turns 75 years of age. with a limit of 30 years term mortgage for non-residents. And once again, because the Portuguese Central Bank's recommendation is 75 years of age, in some cases, it can be pushed to 80 years of age. So let's say if a client is 50, we can do a 30-year long mortgage. Okay.
Okay. Brilliant.
Regarding rates, we have Euribor, which is the European interbank offered rate, connected to the spread, which is the bank's cut, basically. And at the moment, we can get rates, NAR, nominal annual rate, rounding 2.5% at the moment. Okay, with spread included.
Brilliant. That's great, and you say it's great to hear not to say great, but the difference between the rates here in the UK in comparison to Portugal. It sounds like it's a lot more feasible, affordable, let's say, to take out a mortgage over in Portugal as it stands in comparison to the UK. A couple of questions that came through when you were going through that part of the answer, Alejandro, was. One was from Meg around does eligibility for a non-resident buyer vary by the buyer's nationality? So would it depend on where the person is buying from or their nationality when they're applying for a mortgage over in Portugal?
The two things that matter is currency and if the country is blacklisted or not. Okay. Basically, this is the question. I believe that Maggie, thank you for your question. It's pretty important. So, for example, most banks, the Portuguese Central Bank has a list of countries which nationals we are not financing at the moment, due to its government, due to its political instability, etc. And another thing that may influence is currency. For example, if I have a client from Brazil, I know that the difference between real and euro is huge. So the banks usually apply what they call an haircut. And basically is they do the conversion into euro, and then they apply an haircut of, let's say, 30% on the net income to calculate DTI, debt to income ratio. Okay. Some banks don't. So it really depends on what the client wants, needs, and it's tailored. It's tailored to the client. Okay.
Sure. Okay. Brilliant. No, it's a great question, Megan. They say it's one of those I think answers where there isn't, by something, there is no discrepancy between nationalities, but there's things you need to think about, as Alejandro said, like currency that come into play as well. So
another thing, sorry, Seb, if you're buying from Dubai, let's say, in which you do not present tax, or Turks and Caicos or Bahamas, it's still feasible. But I don't have a tax return. It's not a problem at all. Okay. We just need to prove that you have an income, bank statements, declaration from the employer, or there are ways. But sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. Not at all. Just on that note, you have to provide proof of income. How far back does that proof need to go? What sort of documents can that relate to? Is it bank statements, as you mentioned?
Yeah. So banks depends on if I am self-employed or not. Okay. Let's say we are talking about a person that is employed, is an employee. Okay. We will need 3 latest payslips, passport, so an ID, right? We will need the credit report from the country that the client is applying from. Let's say it's the US, it's Equifax, UK Experian, and then each country has its own. Then we will need the tax return, so P60 from the UK and self-assessment tax calculation. If we're talking about a US client, 1090, the W2s, and there you go. Then we will need, as I said, 3 latest payslips. We will need the 3 latest bank statements. Um, we will also need the property documentation or not. So if it's just to pre-approve the client, we will not need documents from a property, and that's it. We can approve a client. Okay. Also, we can just calculate on the first meeting without having any documentation if the client is eligible or not, based on what the client tells us. We just calculate DTI. So this is my net income versus my liabilities. What's my DTI, my debt to income ratio? Then we calculate and we say if it's green, yellow, or red. Of course, if I am self-employed, most banks ask for the last 2 or 3 years of history from myself and the company. Let's say I'm the client. Okay, so this may happen. Why? To calculate the average. Okay, to calculate the average, and this happens often in the banks that work with non-residents better, because they want to see if the consistency of the client's company is adequate to applying to a big mortgage or not. If it's a small mortgage, usually they ask for the last year or so.
Brilliant. Thank you, Alejandro. So yeah, it sounds similar documentation that you require if you're in the UK. You go through a similar process. You know, proof of funds, source of funds, your bank statements, and so on and so forth. And then Meg just asked another question, assuming that Canada is not blacklisted, and I don't believe Canada is blacklisted,
Not
Meg.
at all.
So
Not
I
at all.
think you're absolutely fine
We've
from there.
done last year we did 150 clients around that from Canada. So not
Well, there
black.
you go. Yeah, we've seen a great interest from Canada and America as well over the last sort of 12 to 24 months in Portugal, and I know Alejandro's been helping them with mortgages. So yeah, do get in touch. I just going back a couple of questions, Alejandro. I've got a question from Nancy here. I know you mentioned up to 75 years of age, you could be paying a mortgage back, potentially stretched to 80. Hopefully Nancy won't mind me putting this out there, but Nancy mentions that she's 67 in October. How long a mortgage could she get potentially, given her age and the criteria over in Portugal?
13-year mortgage.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, 13-year mortgage. Nancy, the maximum you can apply for in Portugal is 13-year mortgage, and there are around 3 banks that will do it. Okay.
Okay.
If you want to go into our website, Nancy, and calculate based on what you have there, it's in English as well. You can just type in the numbers and you will see what the monthly installment would be, and you can play around with the numbers there. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Nancy. Great, good question, and thank you, Alejandro. So, just going back, I know you mentioned about having a conversation around affordability, debt to income ratios as well. When buying a property, maybe in someone's home country, especially here in the UK, probably one of the first people that someone will speak to is a mortgage broker to understand their affordability, to then go away and say, yes, I can start looking at properties within this price bracket. Over in Portugal, is that the similar approach to buying a property? Would you advise getting in touch with a mortgage broker first and foremost to then start the process? What would that look like, Alejandro?
Yes, the first step before looking for a property, it would be, if I'm thinking about applying for a mortgage, would be to see if I'm eligible. Okay. Because there is no sense in looking for a property if from scratch I understand that I'm not eligible for a mortgage, or what I'm eligible for, it's a really small amount that doesn't match my needs. So minimum down payment would be 20% down payment plus tax, so around 26% overall, which means that if this is the case, I need to see if my income and the liabilities I already hold or not will be adequate for applying a Portuguese, and by having a first meeting without even documentation to us, without even sending. Are you there?
Yeah,
Hello?
I'm here, Alejandro. Can you hear me okay?
Hello? Hello?
So can you hear me okay?
Seb?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear
Hello?
me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can
Hello?
you hear me?
Can you hear
Hello?
me?
I can hear you, Alejandro. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to turn my
Hello?
camera on and off.
Hello?
Alejandro,
Hello?
can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Seb?
I can hear you.
Seb?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Seb? Can you hear me, Seb?
I can hear you,
Seb?
Alejandro, if you can hear me. Sorry for everyone listening. I think we're having some
Seb?
technical issues. I hope you can hear me,
Hello?
also Alejandro. I'm just going to send him a quick
Hello?
message. So do
Can you hear me?
please hold fire. We do sometimes run into some technical difficulties, so please bear with us.
Hello?
Yeah, I've just asked.
Hello?
Oh, Nancy can hear us both, and so can Meg. So that's good. I don't think Alejandro can hear me, unfortunately. I've just asked him to rejoin here. But yeah, while we're waiting for everyone listening in, where we were looking to go with this part of the webinar is to explain that buying a property, understanding your affordability early is really important. When you're going across some viewing trips and looking at properties, a lot of agents will ask for your budgets, but also ask for how you're looking to fund your property purchase. Some may be a little bit reluctant to take you on viewing trips if they feel like you may not be in a position to put down offers, or if you haven't actually looked at mortgages, if you're looking to purchase via a mortgage. So having that conversation early is really important to, I say, understand how much you can afford, but also understand what documentation you need. One of the most difficult parts of buying a property overseas, from what we understand at your overseas home, is finding the
Hello?
property. Hi, Alejandro.
I'm back.
You're back. I think everyone could hear us, but I don't know if you could hear us.
Well, I don't know
So,
what happened, but I just probably bad connection.
don't worry,
So
we're back. We're
I'm
back.
back. I'm back.
Alejandro, I was just saying to everyone in the audience, having that conversation early with a mortgage broker over in Portugal is important. And I mentioned that agents in Portugal may want to understand if they are having a mortgage that they've spoken to someone. In the UK, you get something like it's a mortgage in principle, which is proof that you've spoken to a mortgage broker, that you could afford to borrow X amount of pounds or euros. Is it something similar over there in Portugal? Do you get a mortgage in principle that you can provide that can be shared?
Yes. That's exactly it. So we have two kinds of pre-approvals. The first pre-approval is just having a regular chat with a mortgage broker, and we type in the numbers in our CRM, and we see if the client is pre-approved or not, based on what the client tells us. The second stage of pre-approval would be to have documentation from the client, sending to, let's say, 5 lenders, having proposals from them, and pre-approvals from the branch. It means that the branch, not the risk department, but the branch states that the client is pre-approved. This could be the mortgage in principle, because the client knows that he's eligible for a mortgage from
Yeah.
many different banks. Then the third step would be, once we decide which bank we want to go with, we submit the client's file into the lender's risk department to approve the file, and then the approval comes, and we move on to valuation of the property, the survey. If the survey is good enough, so if the valuation matches the price, let's say, then we have the approval letters and we're good to go for the final deed.
Okay, great. Well, just on that survey that you mentioned there, Alejandro, sorry, just to, sorry if you mentioned it, is that a survey that the bank carries out, or do you help with that due diligence part of the process? Who carries out the survey?
So it's an independent company that works with the bank. So the bank has a system in which it goes into many different random survey companies, and
Okay.
one engineer from that company goes to do the valuation, and then we have the report from the evaluation company.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, similar to the process here in the UK. I'm unsure about Canada for you, Meg, but yes. Okay, great. So one of the, I suppose, leading on from that question, it would be, I know some of the listeners may be 12 months away from purchasing, some could be 6 months or over a year away. When would you advise someone to have a conversation about mortgages if they are seriously looking about buying in Portugal? When do you normally like to start having that conversation with someone?
3 months before.
Okay.
3 months before. Why? Because it gives us time to put up a strategy if we need to. Oh, I haven't pulled much from my company because I have a low salary because of tax. Then it's time for you to hire your salaries for the next 3 months so we can show that. Oh, but and usually the pre-approvals last for 3 to 4 months, so it's also good. But at this moment, because the rates are going down, the good thing is that the good news is that if the client is approved now on DTI, he will be in 3 months from now for sure, because the rates are going down and not up, which means that it gives us a certain level of certainty that things will go well. Okay. 3 months is okay. 3 months is
Okay.
okay.
So 3 months before someone perhaps comes across and views property, that initial conversation is a good time to then have it.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Yeah. Great. And then moving on from that, let's say someone does find their dream property and they do want to move forward. How long is it from sending the documents across to you, to applications going out, to actually being approved and sort of funds released? How long does that process normally take?
It takes around, let's say, 1 month and a half to 2 months. I have a guide that shows all these steps to the clients. If I don't know if I can upload documents here. If I cannot, I'll send it to you, and then you can share with everyone that was in this seminar.
Yeah.
It's just a guide through that we made for clients. Okay,
Yeah.
but it states 2 months, around 2 months.
Okay. Brilliant. Yeah, just for everyone that's online at the moment, also perhaps that's listening to this on demand, the QR code on the screen there, if you scan that QR code, you can actually book an appointment with Alejandro and the team at DS Mortgages. We will pass across your details, and vice versa, pass Alejandro's details that are on the screen across to you. The website for DS Mortgages has great material in there, great content and guides about the mortgage process, but also buying in Portugal. So do have a look yourself. Just a couple more questions, Alejandro. So with different mortgages, is there a sort of one size fits all? So is there a certain length of mortgages, or do you get variable lengths? How does it look in regards to the different products that you can get over in Portugal?
At this moment, we have variable rates, we have fixed rates. So let's say we fix it for the entire period, which is one of the favorite. But the favorite of all is mixed rates, which is fixing for the first 2 to 5 years and then going variable. Why? Because in Portugal, you have an early redemption penalty, meaning that if I if I fix the entire mortgage on, let's say, 20 years, and I want to change my mortgage meanwhile along the way, Let's say I want to transfer to bank A, B, or I want to change for some reason, I pay a 2% penalty. Okay. However, if I do that using a variable, I only pay a 0.5% penalty. And I can change from variable to fixed without paying penalties. So the strategy usually is to fix for 2 to 5 years, the first 2 to 5 years, especially because the rates are going down at the moment. And the banks do promotional rates, mixed rates. So if you take, let's say, if you take a variable, fully variable now is 3%. If you take a fully fixed now is 3.1. If you take a mixed rate, it's 2.5. So usually the clients say, okay, then I want a mixed rate, fixing it for the first 5 years at 2.5. And then it changes to variable. And then I decide what I want to do. If I want to refix it for the entire term, or if I want to transfer my mortgage elsewhere, or if I want to, just stay variable. So it's one of the strategies we advise is to go on a mixed rate at the moment. Yeah. Regarding bridge loans, many clients ask me if exists anymore. It doesn't, not anymore. Okay, in Portugal, bridge loans, but um, regarding companies that are based, their headquarters is abroad, they cannot apply for mortgages in Portugal unless they open a branch in Portugal of their company. So only the individuals, it's the easiest way. Regarding other products, I could go on and on, but it's better to get. It's better not to make it difficult at this point.
Yeah, I know. I agree, Alejandro. I think there's a lot of options out there, and everyone has individual, unique requirements, and that's why why we set these webinars up is to explain and to help to educate people that are buying properties with mortgages in Portugal to have a conversation with you and the team at DS Mortgages to understand those options, understand affordability, and make sure that they are doing this part of the process correctly. You ultimately are buying a property, you're looking to buy a property in a foreign country, foreign laws, foreign languages, and there are risks involved. So it's important that you are speaking and understanding the role of each person within that process early. That's why we host these webinars. We've got a couple of questions that have come in, Alejandro. So I know at the beginning you mentioned the minimum deposit is was it 20% on a mortgage for a non-Portuguese national?
Yes, 20%. So if I'm buying a 500,000 property, I need to put down 100,000 plus tax.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. And with the actual deposit then, so let's say mortgage has been approved, deposit is they've got 20%. At what point would someone need to set up a Portuguese bank account? And is it something that you assist with setting up of a Portuguese bank account?
Yes. So the first step is to approve the file. After the approval on solvability, we open the bank account. The client deposits the first 300 euros to pay for the valuation, because the valuation has a cost of, let's say, 250 to 300 euros. After that, the bank account is already open. We assist with that. And from then on, what happens is we have the approval letters and we move on for the final deed. The client can do the final deed here presentially, or they can have someone represent them, like a lawyer or someone, through a power of attorney.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, I think there's again a few options available, but it's about what works best for you and your requirements. Just going back to I think what we spoke about a little bit earlier in the webinar, Alejandro, was what is the longest term that someone can take out a mortgage? Was it 30 years? I think you mentioned.
The longest term is 30 years. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So yeah, Tom just wanted to clarify. I want to make sure I got it right as well. So 30 years is the longest term. Meg has asked a question around the tax rates, and I think this may have to be our last question. Here in the UK, there's a lot of discussions around tax rates. I'm sure maybe the same in Canada. What is the current tax rate over in Portugal at the moment?
Tax rate.
Yeah.
Explain, please, the tax rate.
So I think it was. Did you mention, Alejandro? There's a 20% tax rate. No, we missaid.
The 20% is the down payment. Then there
The
is
deposit.
tax that you pay on to the municipality on the transmission of a real estate. So it's called IMT, Imposto Municipal sobre a Transmissão Onerosa de Imóveis. So a municipality tax over the transmission of real estate. Okay.
Okay.
And you pay stamp duty as well. So you pay to the government and the municipality. The good news is that you only pay this chunk once. Okay. You do not pay this every year. You pay this once. It's around 6%. Let's say it's 5 to 6%, the IMT, and 0.8% stamp duty on the price of the property.
Okay. Yeah.
Then yearly, you pay around 0.3% of the patrimonial value of the property, which is not the price. The patrimonial value of the property is what shows in the fiscal document of the property, which usually it's 30% of the price of the property. And you want to keep it that way because you pay tax, yearly tax based on that value. Okay.
Gotcha.
So let's say I can have I can have a property that costs me 500,000 euros, and in my document it shows that its patrimonial value it's 100,000. Great, keep it that way. Because why? Because you're paying 0.3% on the patrimonial value.
Yeah, on the smaller value. Yeah, makes sense. You say it's a really good point, and Mega. Hopefully that answers your question as well. And we've just got one last question, Alejandro. I know we need to let you go as well because we've gone slightly over time. Tom has asked that there are people buying with businesses who minimise their wages to pay less tax. Thomas, can we just increase our monthly salary for a few months to qualify? Would that be something that would be doable?
Yes. So that's why I said that 3 months before we should put up a strategy, because many times we need to do that. We know that business owners, their strategy is to pay less tax. So they use the company's money as they wish, and then they don't need to pay big salaries or they will pay a lot of tax. So the strategy is to do this for 3 to 4 months just for the mortgage and then lower again. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a strategy we use a lot. Yes.
Brilliant. Yes, give yourself a promotion, Tom, and get that pay rise for 3 months. But that's great. It's a great question, and as I said, everyone's plans are different. Alejandro's helped hundreds and hundreds of clients. I'm sure each and every one of them had different plans over in Portugal. So there's not one size fits all when it comes down to how you fund your property over in Portugal. But Alejandro, thanks for joining us, and thanks for being here. For everyone listening in as well, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to understand about this part of the buying journey, and for your questions. We really appreciate the engagement that you've had this afternoon. There's a couple of pop-ups that will just come up on the screen now. One will be for our next virtual event, which is on the 4th of October. It's free to register. We'll have all of the services and partners that we work with who are looking to help you on your journeys overseas in Portugal. We'll have Alejandro there from DS Mortgages as well. We'll be doing a seminar again around mortgages. We'll have estate agents, visa specialists, lawyers, anyone that you need to help you buy properties will be online on a virtual fair, so you can ask questions similar to this and engage with them, download documents and things like that. That link should be on the screen. The second link is a bit of a favor to ask from you all. It's a Trustpilot review. We'd really appreciate it if you found this useful. Well, I would, and if it go down well with my boss, if you could leave Alejandro and I a nice review and telling everyone how much this webinar has helped, to be much appreciated. And then after that, I'll leave you all to it. You can listen to this webinar on demand. We will send it across to you as well. And as mentioned, if you've got some time or you'd like to have a conversation with Alejandro and the team at DS Mortgages, please scan the QR code on the screen. And we will also pass your details across to DS Mortgages to follow up with you in due course. But yeah, Alejandro, thanks again for your time. Say it's been great to have you here again. And yeah, looking forward to our next webinar soon.
Thank you, Seb. Nice to see you. Thank you,
Cheers,
everyone.
Alejandro. Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.